good? Okay. All right, I've got 5 o'clock. I call today's meeting Tuesday, January 18th, 2022. Roll call, we have Selectman Howdy Goodwin, Eric Eaton, Mackenzie Jewett, Kevin Buck, myself, Jamie Thurlow, and Town Manager Jesse Dunbar. Adoption of agenda, is there anything anyone would like to change on the agenda? Okay. Approval of minutes, we have the minutes from Monday, January 3rd.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of Monday, January 3rd, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from January 3rd, 2022. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Howdy, abstain. Yep. All right, now we have warrants. We have warrant 66 for $6,007. Warrant 67 for $11,439.12. 68 for $116,119.52. 69 for $1,112.50. Warrant 70 for $10,543.01. And warrant 71 for $75,115.84.
Make a motion to approve warrants 66 through 71.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve warrant 66 through 71. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right, financial reports.
All right, so in December, we received $74,000 in property tax and $43,000 in motor vehicle excise tax, bringing those to 93% and 54% respectively of the budget. In December, we also received our payment in lieu of taxes from the Tremont Housing Authority and the Local Road Assistance Program grant from the state. And in the war fund, we received just over $2,800 in wharf use fees, bringing the amount received to 101% of the amount budgeted for the year, for the fiscal year. And in the library fund, they received an additional $6,657 in donations, bringing that line of their budget to $9,000 over the estimated budget. And on the expense side of things, couple things worth noting. Administration cost center is still under budget, and the biggest change to that was the attorney's fees line increasing by another $7,000 in December, bringing that line to 137% of the budgeted amount for FY22. I expect that to continue rising for the rest of the fiscal year. And we can discuss that later on in the agenda under the budget encumbrances topic. The tax abatements line also increased by $7,600 in December. And in public works, there was a lot of unanticipated expenses in December. In the repairs line, truck 2 had work done, it came to $14,000. Truck 1 was $24,000. And truck 7 was $4,000. So the repairs line is over budget. Right now it's only about $1,000 over, but for the year. So, and this is again one we'll discuss later on in the agenda. The solid waste budget with the monthly bills from EMR and tipping fees is at 46.99%, so we're still under budget there, which is good news considering the recycling program that you agreed to last meeting. Other expenses worth noting was in the wharf fund, you'll see $1,281 in repairs and maintenance, including the annual hoist inspection and electrical repair at the dock and winterizing the ferry terminal float lamp. In the general ledger, we received $65,982 so far for the municipal revenue sharing, which is 78% of the amount estimated for the entire year. So we expect that will still come in ahead of what was budgeted. And otherwise, in the general ledger, you'll see the transfer of the local road assistance program, the debit of $25,317 to the operating and the credit for the amount received from the state. Otherwise, I don't have any concerns with the town finances at this time.
Okay, thank you, Jesse.
I make a motion to accept the July through December 2021 financial reports.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the July through December 2021 financial reports. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right, regular business. We have our FY23 budget prep, and on this one is committee and fire department requests. We'll start with the Tremont Volunteer Fire Department first. Keith, do you want to chime in before we look at it, or?
No, I assume you read it over. It doesn't change a whole lot from year to year. But, our engine six cost us a fair amount more money than we anticipated because to meet state DOT inspection requirements and stuff. But other than that, our year was pretty straightforward this past year.
Got to ask about the fire truck gate,
Which one?
the visible one.
Okay, I wasn't sure. So, yeah, two things. We do need to find a place for the wheel because that property is sold, so we've been having that in Jackson, so I don't, but, they pretty much, as far as the new engine 5 that we have coming, they pretty much fired the whole department that was working on our truck. And, the new crew was taken over, the new engineer. I wish now, it's been 1,035 days, and now they're trying to make up for it all in 2 weeks, so I hear from them every day, every hour, so it seems like they're really on top of it right now. I mean, minuscule little questions about where to place stickers and things is coming through daily, so it gives me the indication that we're getting close.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice. You had one statement in, I don't know, the back of the first page there. I didn't quite understand. It was talking about the staffing with the Southwest Tremont ambulance and how you were working to cover that. I was just curious what that was.
So, as of Sunday, the ambulance service has finally gotten fully staffed for the month, but the last, there's no secret here, but the last 6 or 8 months, there's been a lot of shifts that haven't been covered. And, we implemented a new policy that, depending on what town it is in, if it was critical, like, unresponsive, an overdose, or more serious nature, other than cut their finger, that we would respond ahead of them. And it's actually worked out really well. But as of, like this coming week, this coming month, I think maybe one and a half shifts aren't covered, but they've come a long ways. A lot of that is because other departments, say if someone's on Brewer or Bangor department, that department wasn't letting them fill in shifts here because of COVID closures and back and forth and covering shifts, so I think we're getting on top of it.
Good.
And so basically, we've been required, from now on, we're gonna continue that. So if there's any type of, emergency under those 6 different categories, that we're going to need to go with them at the same time.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
So you have, I am sure you are, but there's quite a few fire members that are EMT trained, or?
Yeah, so we have 3 that are actively trained,
Yeah, good.
and we have 3 that are in class right now.
Yep, awesome. No, that's a good idea.
You guys see any issues with budget? Looks good. I motion to tentatively accept the budget request of the fire department for $134,750.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to tentatively accept the budget request for the Tremont Volunteer Fire Department for the amount of $134,750. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right. Next, we have the library. Is that you, Pete?
That's me.
Yeah.
So I guess just make a couple of points. One, the personal services, the wages line is been increased by 5.9%, which is the COLA for the last 12 months. I guess my only concern at this point for the library is we basically expended all of our reserves to do the addition, and we're hoping that our success with the fundraising letter, which has really turned out to be quite a good thing, those surpluses will go into reserves and help us build it back up. But our request for FY23 is actually just ever so slightly less than our request for FY22.
Says, oh yeah, okay. Because I said total revenue and other sources at the bottom. That's the part that,
Correct.
I guess I was looking at that number versus the. So the town's portion then is the 61,273.
Correct.
Yep, okay.
I make a motion to tentatively accept the budget request of, gotta make sure I get it right, Bass Harbor Public Library
Memorial.
Memorial, I know
Yeah.
that. Bass Harbor Memorial Library, in the amount of $61,273.72 for the fiscal year 2023.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to tentatively accept the budget request of the Bass Harbor Memorial Library in the amount of $61,273.72. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Go get it warm then?
What was that?
Gonna go get warm then?
All right, now we have under B, the planning board has requested a land use planner. We have a note that's in our packet, as well as Mark, if you want to speak on behalf of the board, or?
You know, we've been dealing with issues involving the moratorium and campground standards. And obviously, there are a lot of issues to consider here. And there's a lot of pressure on us as well as a board. And we kind of think that we voted unanimously, by the way. And we think that it'd be good to have some competent professional help to guide us through this process. Other than that, I don't know what to say.
Yep,
If you
no.
have questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Okay, thanks, Mark.
Have you sourced a land use attorney to use? And do we know how much it's gonna cost and any of that?
I have no idea. I will say that you have something else on your agenda, and I think if you make a wise decision, we might be able to cover two bases there. And I think maybe we could use a planner wisely and not just have somebody sitting around all the time, shooting up funds.
The planning board has utilized the town attorney on occasion for planning, for ordinance discussions. They've used James many times, and they haven't necessarily used Diane O'Connell with ordinance questions, mostly just project interpretations or questions. But I think they're not specialized attorneys in land use. I mean, they have experience in that, obviously. But I believe their request is for a very specific land use expert. That's kind of all they do. You could go the route of an attorney, but probably a land use planner would be more effective. The attorneys tend to offer guidance, but really want the planning board to direct the changes, and they kind of just give them guardrails of what they can and can't do, but they don't necessarily propose ideas, which is what I think they're looking for. This request is basically if the board feels that it's worth looking into, then you can authorize me to get pricing or contacts and go from there. I bring that back to you for a decision on whether or not you want to proceed with hiring somebody for it or not.
And for, as far as, I agree with having someone, you know, you need someone to help you. But the attorney versus a land use planner, if you guys, just for instance, if you made a list of changes that you wanted to make, I'm just thinking of time and everything else too, as far as finding someone. That's not something that you feel like James could say, you know, if you just say you made a change that a parking lot had to be so big in this town, then he could say, well, you can do this because that's okay, but you can't do this. And
right, the attorneys are gonna be, they would be able to review changes for legal issues or conflicts with other sections of the ordinance. The main difference, I think, between the attorney and the land use expert is, or planner, is that the land use planner is gonna have advice on, you know, this doesn't work because, you know, the town of Rockland and so-and-so did
gotcha.
this and it didn't work, or they do this and that works well. Whereas the attorney's gonna be more, yes, legally you can make this change, yes, legally this works in the ordinance. So it's gonna be a little bit more experience with actual land use that you gain.
I agree with what Jesse said, but also, we don't know, the planner might be less expensive than an attorney.
that's true, yeah. And you never know. That's it, yeah.
And is this
So-
planner only for campground related stuff or all?
It would only be
ordinance?
for this.
Only campground stuff?
That's the only thing that's before us, is this moratorium that we're trying to deal with the issues there.
So we wouldn't use it to make other changes in the ordinance?
It would be nice
I
if
think, yeah.
a planner would help us through the comprehensive plan process. You guys have, I don't want to get into any more.
I would envision that it would depend on what you hired them for. If you hired them specifically to solve this project problem, or are you hiring them, asking them to attend a certain number of meetings every time the planning board discusses ordinances,
Hmm,
or that would depend on
okay.
who it is and what it is.
Yeah. And
There are a lot of issues with the ordinance beyond the campground.
Right, that's what I
Okay,
mean.
yes,
That's what I
and-
mean, yeah.
and
It's not just a
Right now,
campground.
this is specifically asking for the campground standards.
Okay.
But beyond that, that's not a bad idea.
Okay.
But it also, I get what you mean now, and it could be a real short-term thing too. He could come in and say this, and this, and you say, everybody says, yes, we agree. And then that's you know, it's money well spent.
Here are our ideas, what do you think? And
Yeah.
what would you advise us to do?
Yep, yep.
Gives us a little bit of a trial period with a planner too, if we wanted to use them in the future as well.
Because we do have the comprehensive plan process going on at the same time, and I anticipate that'll lead to some changes in the ordinance as well, so. That's
So we'll
separate
just-
than the planning board
Yeah,
stuff.
we'll just leave this specific to this one issue then, and, because that's what's requested from you guys, yeah.
That's what we've requested, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't hurt for Jesse to look into it. I feel like we've already spent a lot of money. But, I mean, it wouldn't hurt for you to make some calls or whatever and come back and see.
I'm kind of hoping if they do something like this, maybe some of the other fees will drop off.
Yeah.
Might be being optimistic. but it'd be
Right. I
nice
mean,
to
we've already
think that
spent
way.
a lot of money.
We have.
All right, it doesn't hurt for him to look into it, right? And I mean, if we hate it, we hate it. And
Yep. And hopefully, as long as, at least my interpretation is this is a short term, not a long term. This isn't gonna be a 1 year job. Like this is you know, just to guide through
I
this
sure hope
process.
not.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe Jesse.
As long as we're on the same page, Mark, that's all.
So just limit them to certain ordinances when you ask for an estimate?
Yep.
Yep.
Perfect.
Just to assist the planning board with their current issues with the campground ordinance.
Sounds good.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to look into land use planning options, associated costs, and to bring back those to the select board as it pertains to campground issues.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to authorize the town manager to look into a land use planner, options and associated costs, and to bring those back to the select board. And these issues to be, what did you say, Mackenzie? Just
Pertaining just to
pertaining
campground
to
issues for
the
now.
campground, the current campground issues. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have the Community Resilience Partnership Grant.
Quite a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Is that you, Elaine?
It's gonna be me.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I was wondering why the packet was so thick.
Yeah. Now be good to your mother, Eric.
Is your mother playing with computers again here?
Yeah.
Listen to the chair, please. Okay, so the Sustainability Committee was asked to look into this thing provided by the state. And the state, in the beginning of December, announced this partnership with communities in order to help their communities defend themselves against changes in the future. So that's what we're presenting to you today. Just as
prepare themselves, don't you, Elaine?
huh?
I mean, prepare themselves. Prepare ourselves for the future.
Yeah, didn't I say that?
You said defend.
Oh, I did. Well, maybe that too.
I know it.
So in any case, in the state, this particular thing came off the state as the highest water level since 1947, came last November. Yippee, it's not the latest one, this was right in Bar Harbor, we were rated #1 in the state for the highest water in 2021.
Really?
November.
Yeah.
So again, the sea level rise, this is off the state page again. And this shows the susceptibility that town of Tremont has to sea level rise and surges. And as you can see, I mean, this isn't the best of maps that you can see, but as you can see, our connection to Southwest over that bridge, our connection to the backside over the bridge by the school, and this area here down by Back Beach. are the three biggest areas that we have to deal with. And why is that so important? I mean, it's a shame that construction on those two bridges didn't bring it up to grade. But basically, if someone has a heart attack over here at the school, emergency services might not be able to get to them during those times. It'd have to come all the way around the backside. And the same thing, we wouldn't be able to get help from Southwest unless they went around seawall in those conditions. So, you know, we're talking about fire, medical, you know, any of those kind of issues. That would be cutting our town basically in two or three, depending on where it was. So, you know, and that's only, this part is only dealing with sea level rise. I mean, and you know that McCracken's has flooded over there last year or the year before. It flooded that road pretty seriously.
Yep.
So in any case, you know, those situations are happening more now than they did back in the day. But those are just areas of concern. Now, the way the state is working this partnership is they are funding it through grants. And there are 4 opportunities for grants in the next 2 years. There are 2 grant opportunities per year. And they're, each community can get up to $50,000, you know, depending on what they put in and how many other communities are putting in as well. Or we can partner with another community. It doesn't even have to be an adjacent community. It could be any other community. And we can get up to $100,000. But then again, you know, it's what part of that grant was going to the other community, what part was going to us, or whatever. Some of the conditions that they hope to do with this is to reduce carbon emissions, more so in some communities than ours. But, you know, when you're talking about carbon emissions, it could also be carbon emissions in the harbor. You know, don't just think about it as being what's on the roads, like in downtown Bar Harbor, downtown Bangor. You know, the carbon is going to be different in their downtown areas and not so much ours. Ours is more the harbor. Transitioning to clean energy, becoming more resistant to climate change effects. And we talked about flooding already, but, you know, if we have serious droughts, you know, how is the condition of our fresh water gathering from the fire department? You know, do we have reserves for that? How do we deal with, you know, fires? Can we do something with our forest? Can we do something along those lines? We're all thinking about those kind of things. In order to qualify for the grants, there's things that we have to do. We have to adopt a resolution of commitment, and that's basically you guys signing off on it. We also have to have a completed community resilience self-evaluation. Climate to Thrive is helping the towns of Bar Harbor and Mount Desert fill in those applications, meeting those needs, and they're willing to help us as well. They are funded separately through the state, so we wouldn't have to pay for that. It would be a free thing for us to have them help us. And we also have to have a community workshop to prioritize our initial action plan. And that all has to be done fairly quickly because the first deadline is March 22nd. So to have you guys sign off to do the work that a Climate to Thrive can help us with by filling out, you know, where are we now? We have to do measurements around the town. We also have to have that public meeting. So in order to even schedule that and to get all the approval to even write up the grant, we have to get going really quick on that if we want to be able to qualify.
For the first grant.
For the first grant, yes. There are 2 specific types of community action grants. There's one, I think, Jess, did you print out that spreadsheet? Yes, you did.
Yeah.
That spreadsheet that you have has the list that the state has given. All of the items on that list are fully funded by the state, should we qualify or a grant in any of those areas. And no, you didn't print off that last part where it has an asterisk.
No, not that.
Yep.
I did forward it to
So on your forwarded one, I'll show you afterwards, our committee picked out a whole bunch of those items on that list where we know that we can accomplish those things. And those would be our priorities, but again, we have to have your approval and we have to have public input in order to go forward on any of those. But those are things that we know that we can do, and some of those things, as a matter of fact, have already been started.
Actually, quite a few of them are. We're in pretty good shape for where we're at, even though it may not have been the town initiating them, but the town itself, within the town.
Yeah.
For example, the solar farms and the solar arrays that are about town. We're not the backside on everything. So we've done a good job. We look at the checklist, it looks good.
Yep. And then, the resiliency partnership, we've got the links to that. The thing about these grants is, if we were to pick some things out, we also have to make sure that we use whatever out-of-state funding, like, Energy Maine would offer, to get funding from them first. And then after their funding, Efficiency Maine. And after that, these grants would kick in. But you can't just take this grant and ignore those other grants. You have to do the other ones first.
So we'll prioritize those and how to use them. Come back to the recommendations on that.
And then the other thing too is, although that spreadsheet shows you a list of things that are fully funded, we can come up with other things that may not be on that list. But we'd have to have a community, like I think it says 10% match of funds in order to make those happen. But we can go outside of this list, we just have to put money towards it, our own money. And why are we doing this? Well, it's always better to plan and to have resiliency in this community. Like, you have to plan if those roads are flooded. You have to plan if there's no water, for the fire department, and this grant opportunity is a great way to plan for that and to make any changes. And over time, we can reach those goals. And I'm thinking that, and we all, the whole committee is thinking that it would be a shame to miss out on any of these grants in order to help fund our goal of becoming resilient, both in the harbor, on the roads, in the forest. Some examples, of course, we talked about the roads, we talked about public landings and the wharfs and stuff. Talked about dealing with droughts. And also, a lot of that would need to have changed in the town policies, plans, and processes. So we'd have to work on the ordinances, I think that's the proper terminology, right? In order to make some of this stuff work. Now, like Rich said, we've already done a lot. We have the solar array, which is funding, which is reducing the cost of electricity on all the municipal buildings and the wharfs. And Jesse said that 72, 70, 69?
67.
Oh, 67.
67, I think.
I had some of the numbers just in the wrong order. Streetlights have turned into LED. We already have a community solar project on the line to fill up the rest of that dump site for low income. And there are other things that may become available to us in the future too. So we're already doing better than a lot of communities are doing. So this is like really cool for us because we look really good for the rest of the state. And if we go on and move forward with this, we'll look even better.
Especially considering, keep in mind that we are going to be impacted in the kind of the worst 10% of the state, one of the highest impacted areas. And so, the fact we have been moving on some stuff is very good.
Oops, I didn't want to show you that. But the Sustainability Committee really recommends that you guys move forward on this. And we're hoping that you guys will vote to support us in this. Do you have any questions about it?
With the harbor and stuff, as you had mentioned, do you mean like beefing up like our town pier and stuff like that, so it can take a higher storm surge or I'm not sure exactly, what you, if you guys had some ideas of how you were gonna
But we
present that.
haven't thought about ideas completely, but
Okay.
making sure that the harbors could deal with higher tides,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that the hires probably, these are just some ideas. Of course, it's my ideas, and it's not like anybody else's thrown in here.
Yep.
But possibly putting electric charging for in case motorboats turn into electric.
Yeah.
Electric motorboats.
Eric.
And,
Any electric barges?
Yeah. 671's a ways off from that, Eric.
electric boating is on its way, it just is. And so, having charging stations that, one at Seal Harbor or here, might help with that carbon emissions. Those are just a couple of things, and making sure that your docks and stuff are planned and can deal with the high tides, and some of those, like those little islands that are out there in the harbor, those are gonna go underwater in 6 foot. And some property is gonna go underwater there too, dealing with some of that. And, it's not the only thing, of course, you have broadband is included in here. So I know that you guys had an idea of providing broadband throughout the community to those areas that didn't have it. And there's quite a few areas that don't have it. The school going on remote learning last year proved that. There's a lot of families that really struggled with that. So those are only the families that have kids that are coming to school. There are other people in those areas too. So providing broadband to the whole community would also make it easier for people to stay here and work from here as well. I mean, those are just some of the things that spreadsheet will tell you more. If you want to see that, the list of things that we thought was important. Let's see if I can make this smaller.
I think that's the one we have right here, right, Colleen? It's the one with the highlighted.
Yeah, it is, but,
Yep.
extending the sidewalk to Bernard, help finance broadband,
Mm-hmm.
adopt and execute a plan for energy efficiency and building B1, B2, anything in yellow, basically, on your list.
Yep.
Are the things that we highlighted as being, install a heat pump system. Well, he was just talking about that right before the meeting.
That would be nice.
Maybe you'd be warm today.
Yeah, prior to today would have been.
Just making it easier for people to participate in solar for their own use. Making it easier for people who have commercial type buildings to put solar for a community. Like we have a community source of solar over here, but if it's easier for people to put it on their large buildings, if they have some, ordinances need to be made for that, We just want to take the things away that would, that cause people not to be able to participate. Like there's a lot of low-income people here, take those rules and regulations away that is stopping them from being able to participate. Like the rich people shouldn't necessarily be the only ones who can get stuff. Lower income people should be able to get stuff. Because if they do, it takes some of the burden off of the rest of the town too. So in any case, if you look those over, I don't know if you have any other questions.
Oh, that's it for me, thank you.
When do the grants expire if you're granted a grant?
So if we get the grant in March, they give it to us in July. Then there's another one in September that we get in December, and it goes like that for another year. We only have 2 years, this year and next year.
And they need to be spent within a certain time period? Or?
Kevin, do you know the answer to
No,
that?
I'm not aware of any requirement for that, Eric. I mean, the
I didn't
project
see
gets
it
approved
either.
and they assume you're gonna do
I
it.
believe it is there.
Yeah, you just prove what you spend it on and
Yeah, I believe
submit
so.
it.
Yeah, and basically, it's non-matching grants. We don't need to come up with any money to match
Yeah,
anything.
I mean, it seems like a
And,
no-brainer.
I mean, that
Like free
whole
money.
call it page list of approved projects. I mean, there's things from education to upgrading utilities.
There's plenty
you know,
of things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Meet the community's standards anyways.
yeah.
It'd be a shame to, like, just say, oh, we don't need that 50,000.
Well, it's actually up to 200,000. It's 4 cycles of up to 50,000 each. So it's pretty significant money.
Yeah, there's plenty of things that apply to this community that can be
Yeah.
used. I mean, there's plenty of things that don't really apply to this community where it's
Well,
a
keep in
smaller
mind too,
community.
given the fisheries, the lobster fisheries here, we're gonna be impacted pretty big with climate change over the next 30 to 60 years.
And the big advantage of this whole project too is we're involving the town. You know, we're bringing the townspeople in to have them prioritize, you know, so that gives them a voice, you know. Gives them a nice big voice.
Yeah, and one of the other benefits, even if it's a project that's not on this list, they're willing to fund it just at a 50% match. I mean, if we come up with something totally off the list, it's still probably going to receive funding. It's just not going to be 100%. These are the areas the state's identified. You know, the specific areas. I think there's about 75 of them.
Yeah, I'm sure that money can get spent within that
Yeah, and this is,
75.
yeah. And this is all, you know, federal COVID money that get distributed to the state. This is how they're going to distribute it.
Sounds good.
And the free help with getting it started too is
Mm.
very nice.
Yeah.
Now, I also mentioned that the Island Institute also provides grant money for issues like this. They participate with this, so there's another source of resources there, I should say. More than just money, also expertise.
Yeah, good.
And A Climate to Thrive has been very active, particularly with MDI. I'm sure we all saw the Islander last week with their plan in there.
Yeah, so Climate Thrive has been very active throughout this whole community, helping from, what do you call that when you like put more insulation in your walls and make your house
More efficient?
Weatherizing?
weatherizing? Yeah, so Climate to Thrive has run those things, and that's part of this too, you know, so we can help some people in this community. And that, you know, that's at least my goal is to help people.
And part of it is that we can piggyback off what Climate to Thrive is doing on the weatherization and
Kind of like a
solarization
partnership.
program, yeah.
Yeah, it's a partnership
We
really.
can just,
We're partnering with them and partnering with the state and partnering with the other communities around us.
it's a great point.
All right, what do you guys think?
Go for it.
I like it.
I'm on board.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to authorize the Tremont Sustainability Committee to proceed with the necessary steps for Tremont to join the Community Resilience Partnership in order to qualify for Community Resilience Partnership grants.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the Tremont Sustainability Committee to proceed with the necessary steps for Tremont to join the Community Resilience Partnership in order to qualify for the Community Resilience Partnership grants. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Lon.
All right. Now, we have Sustainability Committee bylaws.
Want me to explain?
Yeah, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah. Basically, it's the committee composition section of this, and we've had some stuff. Those who are not aware, I'm chair of the Board of Climate to Thrive, and we've had some staff changes, and it's kind of made keeping the composition of the board to the bylaws. So what I was going to suggest is just have the composition made up of one Board of Selectmen representative and 4 members of the general public from Tremont.
Mhm.
And that's the only change I thought might make sense, or the only issue with the bylaws currently.
Just
So just take out that
Change
climate.
that.
So
department.
take out the
And then-
climate to
Yeah,
thrive.
just take out the board, member of climate to thrive.
Yeah, board, staff or board member.
Yeah, okay.
I can only fill one position on there.
Yeah. No, that's fine, I mean,
Yeah,
if you're
I
just
mean, it's-
including another resident.
Yeah,
that's-
that way, just because the current makeup of the committee doesn't agree with the bylaws currently.
Mhm.
That's much cleaner, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to request the town manager to amend the sustainability committee bylaws with the following changes. To take out, under committee composition, letter B, and change it to 4 members of the general public, is that right?
Yeah, that sounds
Sounds
good.
good.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to request the town manager to amend the sustainability committee bylaws with the following changes. Under committee composition, we will eliminate line B, staff or board member of Climate to Thrive. And we will make a change to C, which now has 3 members of the general public who are residents of Tremont, and make that 4 residents. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. All right, next we have dedication of the town report. Does anybody have any ideas for this year?
Actually, I do, but it's gonna sound like I was bribed with the crowd that's in here, but I think Chris Eaton ought to be dedicated to Chris.
Yeah, no,
Chris has done an awful lot for this town.
yep,
Fine with me.
Fine with me.
it's fine with me. Oh, Mark,
I
sorry.
think that's a great idea.
Oh, okay.
I agree.
Playing to
That's
the
right.
audience.
Yeah, that was
Good to
easy.
me.
You're a little biased, yeah.
Where are we? I make a motion to dedicate the 2021 town report to Chris Eaton.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to dedicate the 2021 town report to Chris Eaton. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Don't tell
Now,
them, Elaine.
yeah, I was just gonna say,
You're
Elaine, keep
surprised.
quiet. Yeah.
She just said that.
Yeah.
Guess that goes for you too, Eric.
Yeah. All right, Jesse, this is your part. Budget
Alright.
encumbrances.
Now you skip tax acquired property.
Oh, sorry.
jump over
Didn't
that.
even see it. Next is tax acquired property. In our packet, we do have, I thought that was the one after. Same
Same.
property that has been
Yes.
before us before.
Yep. So the handout on your desk was the maps 17 lot 11 did come in and
Excuse me.
make payment arrangements. So just the one in Katie's initial memo, map 7 lot 25B remains.
And there's been no attempt to pay the taxes on this property for several years, correct?
That's correct.
And I just want to, so everyone knows here, that, that just the FY '20 taxes that are behind are $3,727.36. Excuse me. But the total taxes that are back on this property are $31,508.11.
Yes, that's fine.
And multiple attempts to work this out have been unsuccessful
Correct. Yep.
Signing for
over
certified,
multiple years.
picking up certified mail.
They are, lien notices were mailed to all certified owners, interested parties, and mortgage holders. And there's been no notice of impending automatic foreclosure or certified mail to the property owners on November 12th. This notice gave the requested payment for FY '20 taxes to be paid no later than December 27th. There's been no acknowledgement
she didn't get the cards back saying that somebody signed for the certified mail, so they're just ignoring
Yep.
her usual. Okay.
I make a motion to authorize the treasurer to dispose of tax-acquired property located at map 7, lot 25B. I guess that's it, yeah.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to authorize the treasurer to dispose of the tax-acquired property located at tax map 7, lot 25B. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? All right. Now, Jesse, your budget encumbrances.
So, the auditor has completed the preliminary audit of the town's budget for FY '21. They sent over the initial, paperwork with some questions they needed answered, and one of their questions is there any budget adjustments that you would like encumbered into the current budget, from what was underspent in FY '21? Overall, the budget has $317,000 in unspent funds as a whole from FY '21. The line items I've pointed out here are the general administration budget was under by $23,058, and the public works budget was under by $109,352. The main reason that one is large is a couple reasons. The light winter that we had as far as sand and salt and part-time drivers, combined with the fact that when the initial FY '21 budget was done, we budgeted for 2 full-time employees to be hired. Only one was hired, and that person didn't start until November of '21. So there was a lot of unspent funds in that payroll line for Public Works. In regards to Public Works, as discussed, we've had some unexpected funds in the repairs and maintenance, so I'm recommending that you consider encumbering $38,000 to that line to cover those unexpected repairs. Also in Public Works, there's a couple projects that were either completed but not fully due to short funding for FY '22, or have not begun, but I believe that the funding in FY '22 is too low to complete them. The first being the paving of the entrance here. When the bids came in to pave the salt sand shed and the entrance down here, this entrance was around $7,800, which put it over by about $7,800 from what was budgeted. I anticipate that may have increased since it was bid out, so I would recommend budgeting $10,000 to complete that project. The other project is the pole barn that you've delayed until the spring. The original FY '22 budget has $30,000 in it for that project. I believe it's probably at least half as much as it will need to be to complete the project. It all depends on what you guys end up with for bid specs and what direction you want to go. But I do think that the 30 is significantly lower than what the final cost would be on that. So I'm recommending another 30 in that line. And then the Dix Point Road, you had budgeted $140,000 for that repair. And we're still awaiting cost estimates from the engineer. He's going to provide a cost on what you can do for the 140 that you have budgeted, as well as what the entire rebuild will cost. In any event, I think it is going to be more than 140 to do the entire thing.
More now, I bet.
I would recommend that you encumber the remaining funds from the Public Works 31,352 to the road improvement program. That's a reserve, so if for any reason you obviously didn't proceed with Dick's Point, it would still be in that reserve for other road improvements. And the general admin, I'm recommending you encumber the 23,058 to the attorney's line of the FY 22 budget to cover those attorney's fees that are going to well exceed the budgeted amount for the year.
We are that far over, you think, 23,000? Excuse
We
me.
are currently 7,000 over right now.
Yep.
And there's 6 months
Yeah,
to go, so.
yeah, no, you're probably right. Yeah.
There's
Wow.
a big appeal coming up, and then anything around moratorium,
Yeah.
lawyer fees, so.
Mark?
I just want to say one thing. A lot of those legal expenses are beyond control of the planning board itself.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say.
Mhm. Yeah, I believe that, I don't want to get off topic, but every time our attorney is contacted by an outside attorney, then we get billed for that, obviously. So it doesn't take long to add up.
No kidding.
It's more than I expected, but yeah.
One thing I want to touch on too is the truck repairs. I mean, those bills have been looking kind of crazy. Are the trucks worth keep dumping that much money into them at this point? Especially the $24,000 bill there.
But
Those-
at this point, you kind of have to, after you just
Those
spent that.
repairs, those repairs unfortunately were required to make them road legal.
Mhm.
And so were required if we wanted to use them this winter. You currently have, I believe it's in the schedule to look at replacing one of them July 1st. There's currently 167,000 in that truck replacement fund right now, and if you budget more in your FY 23 budget, there will be funds there to replace one of them. I would say that if it's a choice of putting another 24,000 into it, no. But if it's required through the winter,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like I said, if it had been, May.
Yeah, well, yeah, I understand. I'm not questioning doing it. I'm just
But,
wondering if
yes,
it's
I
time
would
to.
say it would be best not to electively sink more money into them.
Yeah, I mean, if it's repaired and it's working, I don't have any problem using it as long as it is.
Yeah.
But I think, if they're costing that much to keep legal, maybe it's time to consider.
Mhm.
Yeah, the problem is that put 24,000
Yeah.
into it, truck's only worth 24,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
exactly.
you're lucky.
I mean, you could
Yeah.
sell it for more than that right now, so.
Yeah.
And I know there's another discussion, but like we did with the backhoe, you've kept the old John Deere backhoe out there. They're using it to load
Yeah.
salt sand,
Mhm.
and that may be something we look into, is running one of those trucks right in the ground instead of selling it, like
Yeah.
you say, Howdy,
Yeah.
for $10,000.
Yeah,
Where we've
Right.
dumped so much money into them, just run one, and then when it's
Yeah.
done, it's that's it, total it, and be done.
Yep. We have had a discussion about, they generally, the two big trucks generally don't get used, in the summer months. It's easier to use the smaller ones. But I have had a discussion with the foreman about a plan for running them weekly and the potential for using one, in replacement of a small one for projects. Just to keep them, a lot of it
Yeah.
was seized up, parts and things
Yeah.
on them for non-use.
A lot of the newer engines too, with the DEF fluid and stuff in them, you let stuff set, and that's just more problems waiting to happen.
need electric trucks. There were grants for that.
Yeah.
We saw.
There's an electric school bus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is.
It's amazing too, how many employees at the school, various schools have electric vehicles too.
Mhm. Yeah, this looks good to me. I think this is
Yeah,
the smartest way to
yeah.
put that together.
Good planning, Jesse.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll get started. Make a motion to encumber $23,058 from the fiscal year '21 general admission budget to the fiscal year '22 general admission budget for attorney's fees.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to encumber $23,058 from the FY '21 general administration budget to the FY '22 general administration budget for attorney's fees. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
I make a motion to encumber $38,000 from the fiscal year '21 public works budget to the fiscal year '22 public works budget for equipment repairs.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to encumber $38,000 from the fiscal year '21 public works budget to the fiscal year '22 public works budget for equipment repairs. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
I make a motion to encumber $40,000 from fiscal year '21 public works budget to the fiscal year '22 public works budget for building operations.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to encumber $40,000 from the FY '21 public works budget to the FY '22 public works budget for building and operations. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
I make a motion to encumber $31,352 from the fiscal year '21 public works budget to the fiscal year '22 road improvement program.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to encumber $31,352 from the FY '21 public works budget to the FY '22 road improvement program. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. All right, next one is the Hancock County Planning Commission. Discussion on work with Hancock County Planning Commission.
Hasn't really been working out the way we'd hoped it was, and we're hoping to deal with another planner.
I'll make a motion to terminate our contract with Hancock County Planning Commission.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to terminate the contract with Hancock County Planning Commission. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, town managers report.
All right. So over the last 2 weeks, I emailed Lee Worcester regarding the contract with the EMR for the recycling program, to confirm that, and he said they will be ready February 1st to begin accepting recycling with EMR. So we're gonna work on getting up notices to post around town and on the website, that can begin February 1st. I continued work on the FY '23 budget, placed the order with Jordan Equipment for the Bobcat loader that you chose at the last meeting. I'm told it's coming in any day. It's on a truck somewhere. And I am happy to report that it did come in about $3,000 less than the amount we were authorized by switching the
Yay.
blade, the snow blower to the blade. I did my monthly check on Pacific Hall, set up town emails for the Sustainability Committee and for the Planning Board members to have an official town email to alleviate getting bombarded in their personal and work emails. I contacted MMA about adding the Bobcat to our insurance policy, ordered street signs, had a telephone call with Jared at HCPC, ordered salt. I was asked to attend a meeting with the Southwest Harbor manager, fire chief, and the ambulance service chief regarding ambulance staffing options, which I'll have more on later, I expect. Reviewed initial audit and responded to questions from the auditor. Reviewed the fire budget submitted by the chief. Telephone call with the Bangor Daily News. Submitted the December general assistance report. Meeting preparation, met with H.G. Reed a couple times about the heat for this room, which hopefully will be repaired soon. And prepared financial reports. Acadia Lock came out and changed all the locks on the interior doors at the town office. That was based on a recommendation from Bureau of Motor Vehicles when they completed our 5-year audit, and prepared the agenda and memo for your meeting on Thursday. Office staff was busy with the usual town office business, and the clerk was busy with the FY20 foreclosure notices. The bookkeeper's been working on audit responses and adjustments, and the code officer's been busy with applications and planning board work. Public Works has been kept busy with snow plowing and treating roads for multiple storms, removing brush on in the back beach parking area and along Dodge Point Road, receiving salt deliveries, sanding and painting summer rims for truck 3, washing trucks 1 and 2 after storms. Truck 2 went to Ellsworth for an auger replacement and repairs and maintenance to the equipment after the storms. Harbor Master has been busy with dealing with a broken down boat on the town float, completed his Coast Guard test, removed the remaining trash from Seal Cove, had a camera repair at the wharf. He was busy with plowing and treating roads along the Public Works, repaired a hydraulic line on truck 2, shoveled off the town wharf and floats, and removed a downed tree on Tremont Road, dealt with a boat that broke loose Friday night, and assisted with sanding the Cape Road last night. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to continue working on the FY23 budget, attending the League of Towns meeting, and continue looking into the ARPA funds and premium pay that we previously discussed.
Great, thank you, Jesse.
Jesse, did the water ever get drained in Pacific Hall?
Yes.
Okay. And then just had one other question. The school lights, any word on that?
Last update from the state was that it sounded like around April that they were, I guess the company they bought them from couldn't produce them, so they've switched companies, so there's a delay in actually getting them.
Sounds about
She
right.
said spring
When
of
school's
22.
out, put the lights up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Might need to drain the pipes down here if the temperature keeps going down. My feet are getting a little chilly back here.
I know I was gonna put gloves on.
Yeah, I know.
It's cold.
All right, suggestions for the next meeting. Date of the next meeting, and I will say, this says the date of our next regular meeting. Don't
Yes.
forget
Yeah.
our meeting this Thursday.
Why would anyone want to forget that?
No, I know. Just want to make sure that it was noted on there.
Yes, this Thursday at 5 by Zoom.
Yep.
By Zoom.
Okay, I'll make a motion to confirm the date of the next regular meeting for Monday, February 7th, 2022 at 5 at the town office.
So,
Been moved and seconded to confirm the date of the next regular meeting for Monday, February 7th, 2022, 5 PM in the town office. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
motion to adjourn.
All those in
Okay.
favor? Okay.